Hey man, you lost?
Yeah, I'm lost. I don't know what I'm doing. Can you help me out?
There you go.
Oh, yeah.
You have a big butt already. It's coming just from doing this.
And so I'm here with Julia Renee, and she's teaching me how do you get glutes, legs like this? I mean, look at what's going on right now. I mean, what is even happening? What is the secret? What are we gonna do?
So first of all, I don't start with cardio. Start with bands.
So my 30 to 60 minutes of cardio, we're not doing that.
We do some bands. We
So
gotta
we're
get some
doing
blood
bands.
flow to the muscles.
Admit, I never use bands, so it's gonna be hard for me, but I'm gonna learn.
We're going to do some side walking band walks.
All right.
So right here, this is gonna target our upper glute, which is really difficult for people to target. You're not going to let your feet touch. You have to keep the resistance. No.
Too much?
Too much, like this. Barely.
Okay.
Resistance the entire time.
Okay.
Feel it right at the top of the glute. We're just gonna keep walking.
I'm already feeling it.
Yep. I'm feeling it
It
too.
literally feels like I'm doing the abductor exercise,
That's
right
the whole-
straight up from the start.
You can either do this or you can stand and just like lift your leg like a dog.
So how many sets of this would you do?
At least 2 sets of 20 steps.
Okay.
And you switch sides, because here we're going more working on this side. You're working both going either way.
Yeah.
But then when we walk down this side, we're gonna work more on this.
And so if you're stronger, you can just go with a wider stance, and then that keeps
You can
more
do
tension.
a wider stance. You can even stay way down here.
Oh my God.
But the key to it really is not losing the resistance. Here, losing the
Right.
resistance.
Small steps, maybe
Small
4 to
steps.
6 inches each time. Okay. All right, I'm pumped.
Okay, that's it for that one. For me, when I'm warming up for legs, because I'm so quad dominant, I don't do anything really to warm up my legs and to make them pumped more than they already are, other than maybe like walking lunges. But for glutes, I do. But I don't want to get too big of a pump. I don't want to fatigue them before I need to.
Right.
But just enough to get some blood flow. So now we've hit the sides. We want to hit up here. So if we have something to hold on to, kick the glute straight back, chest up, pause, hold.
I'm gonna admit I've never done glute kickbacks, even with the dumbbell, barbell cables, never in my life. So
Nothing?
This is my first time doing this motion. Now for some
Feels
reason,
good.
I'm
you activating
I'm more
the other
tired
glute?
on this side.
On the side
The
that's
side
not
I'm
working.
standing
it's
on
because you're
is
leaning
like-
to that side.
So what do I have to do? How
Lean-
do I get more
With that arm?
lean like to the side?
No, just
Maybe
be
come
straight.
and adjust me. You gotta move my.
'Kay.
I'm feeling like right here. It's pumped.
Well,
so what do I
don't
have to
lean
do?
on that side.
So like, come back this way.
Try holding both hands.
Okay,
Try
both
holding
hands
both
up.
hands. Keep your weight center. Don't lean too far to the left,
Okay.
because then you're gonna work the other. Right here.
All right, I'm feeling it there now.
Right there.
Oh, and do you
You
pause?
feel it now? Yes,
Absolutely.
you pause at the top.
Right
Hold.
at the top, squeeze,
Squeeze.
hold.
Yep. Now switch. Same thing. Keep your weight in the center. Push it straight back. Here.
Okay, okay.
There you go.
Oh yeah.
You have a big butt already. It's coming just from doing this. You pumped enough?
I really like, and this is the warm up.
Yeah. Is the warm-up.
Literally, if I only did your warm up, I think I would grow.
I think you would too.
Wow.
Maybe because you hadn't been doing anything at all.
Oh, that's hard. Oh.
Last thing, pulses. So we're gonna do really wide, toes pointed out. Make sure you're pushing through your knees, pushing your knees out so your knees don't cave in. We don't want Bambi legs.
Okay.
Okay, we're gonna go all the way down, up, halfway squeeze right here. We're not going to go all the way to the top and go like this.
Okay.
Down, hold, boom. Down.
I feel it here. Is it this where you're targeting right on this
Yep.
one? A lot.
Okay, now just bounce. Bam, bam, bam. Get it, get it, get it, get it. Oh,
This is freaking hard. And this is a warm up.
this is the warm up. And done. There we go. And then you kick it off like it's underwear. So for these, to target your glutes, we're gonna do feet wide, toes pointed out.
Wide stance, toes out, like
Toes
a sumo
out.
deadlift.
Make sure we don't lean forward. Chest is up. And we're gonna be holding, you can either hold the dumbbell like this, or you can hold the dumbbell like this. If you're short, this gives you a lot more range of motion versus if you go on the floor and you have a large dumbbell, you're gonna hit the ground.
Right, yes.
Immediately.
Elevate is gonna be easier. I don't wanna hold it. I'm not trying to train my shoulders right now.
Okay,
So just hold it
here.
like that, yeah.
What do you think you can do?
Maybe start with 60.
Okay.
And do I try to go roughly parallel to the floor? Geez, I'm not maybe
Yep.
that. We'll see how flexible I am.
We'll see. Chest up, all the way down, pause. Up, stop here, squeeze.
Okay, only halfway up.
Yeah, and squeeze. Yep. It's like almost all the way to the top, but not completely locking out.
And squeezing the glutes the entire way?
The entire way.
I can feel it more like slowly going up. I can feel it squeezing the whole way, doing it slow versus like powering it through.
Yes. One thing that I've been changing a lot with my training is like I'm not really ego lifting anymore.
Right.
You know, which
It's
I
not a
did a
race.
lot when I started, and I'm doing more time under tension, really slow. Feeling the muscle tearing, quite frankly, it's crazy. It's grown my glutes for real. Okay, now we're gonna drop it. Drop the weight when you feel like you're almost at failure. Pick this one up. Do this.
I'll call that a warm up. Oh, you want me to go and
do more?
So what I typically would do is start with kind of a lighter weight and then get a few sets in and then work up to my max. I used to do a lot of sumo deadlifts, so that probably helped my glutes back in the day as well. Now that I've cut those out, my glutes have definitely shrunk.
Pancake ass. Cool. How did that feel?
Well, I'm having an immense pump.
There's definitely like accessory movements that you can do to try and target it only. But if you're doing a squat, if you're doing a leg press, like if you're doing sumos, your quads are going to be activated. But there's definitely things that you can do to try and make it more glute dominated, but I mean, you're gonna get it anyways.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Let's see what this feels like. Oh, my hip just popped.
So do you have to practice your flexibility? Like, do you stretch a lot to try to increase that, or is that something that comes natural?
I think just because I train it so much. So for me, I'm gonna have to keep it here because my nails are making this difficult.
A lot harder training with for women with, I don't know how y'all do it.
Also, one way to open up your hips a lot too is like heavier adductions or abductions so that you're able to do this a little bit easier.
Now when I do any exercise like that, my upper body just literally gets tired. If I'm holding enough weight where I actually feel my legs, my upper body is fatigued before my legs.
Really?
Mm-hmm. And now what about your core? Do you have to tense your abdominals to keep it in position?
Yeah. When I'm doing it, I'm honestly trying to really focus on pushing through my heels and up. It's almost like my toes are slightly lifted when I'm doing it too, keeping my core in tight. I could feel it just by doing this.
So the entire time you're literally thinking of engaging the glutes, like concentrating on that muscle the whole time, like that mind-muscle connection versus just kind of going through the motions. You're thinking glutes, squeeze, contract the entire time.
Like even if you're doing a leg press and you're trying to target your glutes and hams plus quads, there's a huge difference when you're training. If you're like, I'm thinking about my quads versus I'm thinking about my glutes and hamstrings, it makes all the difference.
I totally agree. Even for me, because I'm always focusing on my quads, I want to see them. I'll look down at them, and when I see it, I'm visually flexing in front of me, I get that much better
That's
engagement.
why I like leg extensions, so you can see everything.
What's happening exactly. So do you would you avoid leg extensions? Because obviously it's very specific to the quads. So would you like skip leg extensions and just do like a lying leg curl or maybe a seated leg curl?
Yep, because my feedback from the judges was more glutes and hamstrings. I'm only training quads now twice a month.
Now, answer me this, for women's wellness, there's a lot more focus on the lower half of the body versus bikini. It's more of like equal up and bottom, perhaps. Do you think you could literally just never train upper body? Or is there certain muscles in the upper body you still need? Like, do you ever do chest?
No.
Like, is that even a thing for wellness?
I don't, because I have implants and
So
they
as
move
soon as you
around.
get breast implants, you have to stop training for the wellness category?
You don't have to, but it's recommended. Like my doctor just recommended just not to do it because it could cause them to like move around.
Right.
And you don't need that for wellness. Same thing goes for like your upper body. Like I only train upper body once a week, and it's just to maintain what I have. Very lightweight, time under tension, and all the other pro wellness girls I've trained with, some of them don't do it at all.
Like, would you really need to train biceps,
No.
triceps? Would you need to train back?
You do, because when you first get started, most people don't have that foundation. So when I started competing, I did train all of that because I needed to build the foundation of having a solid upper body so that I could have the luxury later of not having to train it. So if you're a newbie wellness girl, yes, train all of that because you still want to have a nice back, because when you're in your back pose, you can see your rear delts. And
I always notice the hair's covering, so
Yeah.
I'm like, you don't really need much
you
back
really?
because it's being covered by, but I guess the shoulder width still needs to be there. You
Yeah,
need
you
some
still-
cap delts.
If anything, it's like cap. You need the cap more, but you don't want your bicep to overpower your cap. You just want to see the cap. They want to see a small waist, and they want to see
Yeah.
big lower body.
Because
So
I'm thinking, I'm watching you kick 60 pounds like this. That's some bicep motion. Or even if you're doing some back, your arms are working out. I mean, indirectly, if you put a plate on the leg press, that motion almost is enough to have some muscle development.
Yeah.
And so I feel like you don't need to train any of those things. It's almost all like just train the legs.
yes, if you are developed enough in the upper body, yes. If you're a beginner, train to get the foundation and then you can taper off, I would say.
Now, what is your opinion on this? Because consider men's physique, to me, it's kind of like the opposite of wellness.
Yeah.
Men are covering up their legs and glutes, and they're just literally standing there in upper bodies, showing off their upper bodies. Women,
it's like the
so
opposite.
focused. Exactly.
Then they don't really need to train legs, do they?
What do you think of that? Like, I'll tell you what, I personally would want to see the shorts come up.
Yeah.
I want to see that much legs. I want to see guys showing off their legs, and I think they would also like to do that.
Yeah, I think so too.
Why are we just rewarding big upper bodies with no lower bodies? I want the men to have balance. I want them to have the upper and the lower.
But to me, it's almost like the way that they've made the shorts be as long, it's almost as if it's kind of like wellness where it is an imbalance because they have developed legs, yes, but they still all look very imbalanced. They still are way bigger here than they are in their lower body.
And they have weight classes now for height. Now, what would you do if they said, okay, wellness, the girls are starting to get a little bit too big because some of them are.
Yeah.
What would you say if they said, okay, what are you, 5'1" maybe?
5'2".
5'2". What if they said you have to weigh under 120? Would you be in favor of that? Would you be against that? If they had implant, like Chris Bumstead has to weigh a certain amount, would you prefer that? Because then you say, okay, now I know what weight I have to be. Now I know I can't put too much muscle. Perhaps would that be better? I mean, we're just talking out loud. Would that help the sport or hurt it to say, okay, this is the maximum you can weigh for each inch, and that's going to, cater towards slightly smaller appearance?
I feel like it would help it in the way of abusing steroids or PEDs. It would not help it in the way that it can be very dangerous to get that low in body fat.
Now, the judges could obviously reward a more softer appearance if they just said, hey,
if
you have
they did,
6% body fat, striated glutes, we're not going for that.
If they did, I just don't know if they're going to do that.
It's so challenging because if you push one thing, something else is going to happen. Whichever way they do it, it's going to be a problem. So,
but they did award Fran, and she did have a softer look in comparison to some of the other girls, so maybe that's the route that it's going because that's where it's supposed to be from the very beginning. That's why I wanted to be in this division because I was like, great, like I don't have to push my physique to that hard of a level. Like they're getting figure shredded. Like let's be real, they're getting figure shredded.
Their legs are leaner, like they'll flex like that, and I can see lines. I feel like the girls have bigger legs than me, some of them.
How much do you think I weigh right now?
And you're 5'2"?
How much? I'm 5'2", and what body fat percentage do you think I'm at?
Let's see.
You're good at judging body fat, right?
Turn around.
You could see a little bit of this.
I feel like you're probably approaching 20% body fat and probably 145.
17% and 155.
155. Wow.
155 at 5'2"
5'2"
is a lot of weight.
Yeah. And so 155, 17%, would you need to be 135? Like, is that how far you'd have to go down?
Probably 135.
135.
Yeah.
That's a lot of weight.
That's a lot of weight.
And do you feel like it's too much? Like, if you had the magic powers to say, this is the look that we want to look for, what would you want to weigh on stage? If you said, this is the look that I want, would you be the happiest at 135, 145, 155, or even 175? Would you rather be heavier?
145.
So somewhere right in the middle.
Yeah, 145. 135, like, it's cool on stage, but in real life, it's for women. People don't think that women that shredded are attractive. A lot of people look at me like.
I think you look great right now. And if you lost 10 pounds, okay, I'm still with you. That's still good. And 10 more pounds on top of that, I'm like, I respect the work, the effort, the dedication. That's amazing.
Yeah.
But I'm thinking it's not really healthy anymore.
No, I mean, bodybuilding isn't. And when I'm doing my prep and I'm telling people what I'm going through, I make that very clear. I'm like, this is not a sustainable sport. This is not at all healthy, but I'm showing you what I'm doing just in case this is something that you want to do. And I'm very mindful of sharing like exactly what I'm eating because I don't want people to come onto my channel and see me eating like barely anything and think that if I eat that, I will look like her, because I used to do that.
Yeah.
I used to go on people's pages and be like bodybuilders and, oh, if I eat that, I'll look like them, but it's not the case. So not a sustainable thing. Very short period of time, I look like this.
Yes.
The rest of the year, I look like this. This is more sustainable.
I'm very passionate about, I speak out against bulking and cutting dramatically because I feel it can cause body dysmorphia. To see yourself so shredded, the tan, the dehydration, you look incredible. Then the show's over and all of a sudden the floodgates open, you start eating. You look in the mirror and you're like, I feel fat, even though you're not. Perhaps maybe you get down to 135 and you're, wow. And right now you're 155, perfectly happy. You then go to 145. At 145, you're like, I feel fat, even though you're 10 pounds below where you were.
Yes.
So do you struggle with that? Having the on-stage look and then fighting the off-season, like, what would you say is the best advice to somebody who might be wanting to compete or comparing themselves to other people or maybe just dieting for summer? What advice would you give someone like that about bulking, cutting? Like, what do you think is the best way to do it in a healthy environment, mentally and physically?
I would say, like, once you are getting off from show, that is the most fragile point of the entire process. You need to be prepared. If you are able to continue working with the coach and have a proper reverse, do that. And set yourself up for success mentally, knowing that this is something that can possibly happen, because I have done it in a way where I wasn't prepared with a coach. I just fell off. I stopped doing cardio. I stopped watching what I was eating. My mental health crashed. I went into a super deep depression. It's happened to me twice, and I'm a pro, and some of this stuff still happens to me, and it's because I wasn't prepared. So being prepared with your meal plan, what workout plan you're going to have, make sure your mental health is good, talk to a therapist, journal, meditate. All of these things are so important for bodybuilding, and people jump into bodybuilding without making sure that this is okay first. Because this is what gets you through bodybuilding.
The mental aspect is so much harder than the physical. I mean, it's
at a
just
certain
ridiculous.
point, you're just doing cardio and you're eating meals like a robot. But if you're not good mentally with how your body is looking, how much body fat you're gaining, then once you get off, it's gonna be really tough.
Just on the drive over, you mentioned that after a show, it's harder.
Yes.
I've stated to so many of my clients, I said, the real diet, the hardest diet starts the day after the show, because with your eyes on the prize and knowing you're gonna get up in front of 1,000 people, your motivation is through the roof. But once that's taken away and there's no longer that motivation to be on stage, now you're just left alone with food and hunger hormones, ghrelin, and you're like, you just want to eat. I mean, you know Larry Wheels, 53 pounds he gained in 5 days. It's hard. He's a professional. He's very mentally strong, but yet he couldn't stop it. And so what chance does the average person have? It is very difficult, very challenging.
It's very difficult. Those are the hardest parts for me personally. I mean, I just announced that I wasn't going to be competing this year because I didn't want to push my body to that level in a short amount of time, because health is the most important thing for me, because I want it to be longer. But I would say for at least people that are going to do that, when you are done competing, the reason that people get like that is because all they're focused on is the date, the show, the trophy. They're not worried about the journey. When you're doing the whole journey, that's what bodybuilding is. Bodybuilding is like embracing the stuff, doing the cardio, that like mundane part of it. And if you're not enjoying that, when the show day actually comes, it's not gonna be as great as you think it is. That's what happened to me on my first show. I was focused so hard on getting the trophy and winning, and I won 2 shows, and I was the most depressed that I have ever been because I didn't appreciate the journey. It was so bad, I actually forgot what happened. Genuinely, I forgot what happened because I was so focused on getting the trophy and the title and my suit and my hair and my posing routine. So if anything, I can give people advice is like, if you're gonna be a bodybuilder, love the journey. You have to love the sucky parts of it because it'll make winning that much better and reduce your chances of falling into a depression like I did.
There's such a dopamine high following a show. If you win or lose, it's so high. And then suddenly, I'll compare it to you get married and everyone is focused on the wedding and it's 100 friends and you spend $100,000 and it's wow. And then a week after the wedding's over,
You're
now
like,
what? Bodybuilding is the same way. Like, what is now my purpose in life? What is my goal? And people oftentimes just sit and sulk. They don't know what to do.
Yeah, you have to find a new purpose. I'm also not a fan at always chasing something, because always chasing something, at a certain point you can't chase things.
The dopamine
you know
rush
what I mean?
to get to another show, another show, another show. Eventually there is no other show. You have to become normal. You have to have balance.
Yeah, but you can shift your mindset from being, I'm doing this so that I can have the best physique that I absolutely can, to when you're on the off season, now my new goal is to get as healthy as I can, get my hormones back together, push my strength in the gym because now I have food. So that switch from I'm going into a physique goal into a strength and health goal can help you move from one goal to the next.
And this is why I keep preaching, try not to strive for single digit body fat, get to a healthy body fat percentage for you, do your cardio and just be balance and have health and do it for you. It's not all about being perfect, because no one's going to be perfect forever.
Nope.
Even Chris Bumstead. No matter who's the champion, the show is over, and then what?
Yeah.
It's hard.
Especially for him, it's like you've gone to the top. Now what?
Once you've won, 3-time wellness champion, now what? She's going to be disappointed if she gets second.
Yeah.
There's no
where do you go from here?
Exactly. You just have to be happy with yourself. I think it's important that we talk about this, because I don't think people understand maybe the negatives or the cons about competing. You have to be prepared mentally, emotionally, spiritually. Everything has to be in order.
All of them do. Love that.
Thank you.